Oh, hi. Yeah, okay, it's October update time, and I've been working on this one a little bit. I've got quite a bit of stuff sort of saved up to insert into the video. I'm hoping this one's going to be quite a fun one. And I do enjoy making these because it just gives me a bit of an opportunity to be a bit more creative with some things. Like it's more like television than making a movie. I'd say the YouTube videos are more like a movie, in that I'm sitting down editing and I spend a lot of time on the kind of that end of things, shooting, editing, putting it all together, being very, very careful. This is more like presenting a live TV show. I say live to tape, as they would say. Of course, I don't know what they say now. Live to memory stick, live to hard drive, SSD, I don't know. But anyway, you know the idea. Right, I'm sure there's a few new people here that might not have seen one of these before, because whenever I update the Patreon list at the end, there's always quite a few new names in there. So for anyone that hasn't seen one of these, I try every month to do some kind of an update, and they're getting a little bit more elaborate as time goes on, because I find it quite good fun putting these together. And I keep thinking of extra things I can throw in, different type of topics and stuff. So I write stuff down throughout the course of a month, things that have cropped up, and then put a video together like this. They tend to go on quite a while. This month I'm trying something a little bit different. I've got a lot, as I've mentioned, I've got a lot of bits I can insert into it, and I'm a bit like the last one. I'm trying to concentrate on just a few ideas rather than just having a big like nonsense blurb. But the little bits that I'm concentrating on, there's quite a few of them, so I mean it's going to go on for a while. Anyway, rather than explain what it is, let's just get on with it. So now the first thing I wanted to say, Andy a couple of months ago, or maybe a bit less, asked about the cassette resurgence. What was my take on this? Well, I think the first thing I should do is cut to our man in the field for a hot take. Yeah, we're talking about the cassette resurgence. Well, first off, I don't think it's really all that much of a resurgence. I mean, okay, yeah, sales are up, but I've got my numbers on the phone here. Let's go into this. In the US, album sales 450 million cassettes in 1988. 450 million. Cassette sales in 2019, 118,000. So 450 million versus 118,000. 118,000 in isolation, when you just mention it on its own, doesn't sound bad. Well, they've sold 118,000 cassettes. In the great scheme of things, it's not very many, is it? Yeah, now there was going to be a whole segment there, but as you could see, it wasn't really working. I was kind of out of breath. Trying to record on the camera and talk at the same time just doesn't work very well for me. And everything I said, I came back and thought, I can edit this, and it was just like a madman had been ranting with himself. I don't know if I was a bit low on glucose or whatever. I was shooting that on the Sony RX0 Mark II. I got one of these because I kind of really liked the idea of it. I know it had a lot of limitations, but the image stabilization really wasn't very good. I've seen the videos where they explain if you can record without stabilization, then you can use the software that's Sony to use the gyro and all that stuff to get. So I might play around with it a bit more. But yeah, I was just sort of holding it out here, and I had a lavalier on. As you can hear, there was a bit of clicking, all that kind of stuff. So the footage wasn't really usable. But I just wanted to use the joke of our man out in the field, because there was a field there. So that's why I've kept it in. Now, I had those stats. I got them off the RIAA website. It only had up to 2019, of course, on there. But yeah, 118,000 sales of pre-recorded cassettes in the US in 2019. So that's 0.03% of what they once were, which means the sales would have to... Now, my maths, I hope, is right here. Please don't rake me over the coals if it isn't. But the sales would have to increase 40 times to get back to 1% of what they once were at their height. Well, what they were at their height. Yeah, so it have to increase by 40 times to get back to 1%. So it kind of shows you how far off it is. So my hot take on this, the one that I'd come in at and then I'd hope someone would kind of come back and say, well, actually, blah, 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 is that there is no cassette resurgence. And since we can't have a proper conversation, I'll come in with my angle on this, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from with that. Not just those sales figures, but I've mentioned before, say I had a hat shop, and I sold one hat yesterday, and today I sold two hats. oh, sales are up 100%. It's a hat resurgence. The hats are back. Big, you've got to sort of step back from things and look at these numbers as a kind of, well, from a distance. And if you looked at where sales were of cassettes in 1988, I think it was, 1988 at its highest, 450 million. And then you look at where they are now. And if you kind of drew that line out and you looked, say, 50 years in the future, on what the chart was, it would just go up and down and disappear. That would it. 2020 wouldn't even feature on your graph because your scale would just go up to 450 million, zero at the bottom. There'd be nothing there. So I still think we're in that there's nothing there stage. And we always will be, because cassettes are over and done with. Now this is perhaps the bit where people would disagree, but I think what we're counting is the wrong thing, and we perhaps shouldn't be counting it, because there's a historical thing here. The RIAA and other chart music bodies around the world, they were all the business. The reason we know we'll go back 20 years, the reason we knew who was at number one in the charts was because they told us. They publicised it, because by telling you who's at number one in the charts, a lot of people go out and buy what's at number one in the charts. And you get the top 40 or the top 30, and they have it on the radio every Sunday. And it wasn't just like information they were giving you, like the shipping forecast. It was a sales thing. It's just sales. Oh, new in at number 30, it's the latest single from Bananarama or something. Oh, great, new single from Bananarama's out. I best go down to Woolworths and buy that. That's what it was. It was just a big advert. The whole thing is an advert. Well, that's what it was based around at the time. Now, of course, pre-recorded music and physical media has died off a lot, and it's in a decline, and it'll continue that way. A lot of people are just streaming music and buying stuff that way. So this whole business of counting how many you've sold of a physical object is kind of not of any relevance anymore, because the numbers have shrunk so much that the numbers you're counting are just nothing. It's like the sweepings off the floor. But because this whole business of counting has been designed and organised, and there's tills and the Gallup poll and whatever it was, all these different things are all designed to tell you how many cassettes or LPs or CDs they've sold. This data still exists, so they can still report on it. So they can say, oh, sales are up 100% this year, and it'll get a nice little article in the newspaper, or the bank, like online, I should say, website. Oh, cassette sales are up 100%. Where's that information coming from? It's coming from the people trying to get you to buy cassettes and trying to get you to buy anything. So again, you just report, you're printing an advert, and it's an easy advert to print because you get all the information, and then underneath you just have to say something about, oh, do you remember winding up cassettes with a pencil? Do you remember when they all used to get stuck, and cassettes are snapped and all? And you use the same silly paragraph that people publish every time and stick the sales stats at the top. Easy paragraph, blah blah blah. Right, I've finished my job for today, I've done my column, I'm going home early, and that's all it is. Well, we shouldn't really be counting them anymore. It's just this kind of historical legacy, the fact we count them. My take on this is where I'm coming from, is that the current sales of cassettes, well, we're dealing with merchandise. It's just merch, same as t-shirts, same as mugs. It's merch for the artist. That's not really where they're making the money. It's just publicity, merchandise, that kind of thing. So do you know, I mean, I'm trying to think of a current artist. I'm not good anymore with who's in the charts and stuff. I have to mention someone that's worldwide as well, because if I don't, everyone will say, well, I've never heard of them. So let's just say Taylor Swift. Do you know how many mugs Taylor Swift sold last year, or badges, or t-shirts? And do you know if that number of t-shirts was up or down on the year before? We don't, because nobody gives us those numbers. The only reason we know the cassette numbers is because there's this historical system put in place to count sales of physical media. So it might be that, like, mug sales are double, badges are triple this year, t-shirts are through the roof, that kind of thing. But we just don't know about that kind of stuff. So that's my take on it. We're counting the wrong thing. We're counting merchandise as music, and the two things are really separate, because the cassettes now that are being sold are really just merch. They're novelties, they're collectibles. Now, so that was my take on it. And I thought, well, maybe that's just me going on with myself, being a nonsense person. So I asked a chap who I know, and his name's Tony, and he runs a YouTube channel and a website called Cassette Comeback. In fact, I can probably put a picture up on the screen here. Yeah. So he's got a website, Cassette Comeback UK, and he does duplication. And if I could get the thing to go on to the next picture, he does set sales of like collectible cassettes. Now, I've never been one to collect cassettes. It hasn't been a thing for me, but I know a lot of people do. They like collecting these retro cassettes. This is what Tony's business is. So he does some boutique duplication and retro cassettes. He's also got a YouTube site. So let me try and get you that on the screen. Now, I don't know if I'm mistaken in this. I'm sure a couple of years ago, Tony got in touch, well, 3 or 4 years ago, and said I should perhaps cover this type of tape, or the difference between formulations between the tapes, and which one's best, the old TDK-SA or the new one, or something along those lines. And I said, I replied to him, said, I'm really not that knowledgeable about this stuff, but it sounds like you are. So if you're the guy that knows all about this, you should do a YouTube channel. Now, I've definitely said this to someone. I think it's Tony. So he set up a YouTube channel. Look, he's got 13,700 subscribers now, and he's doing all right there. So I hope that was the chap I spoke to. I can't say for definite, but anyway, Tony, right? Tony from Cassette Comeback. So he's got a bit more knowledge than I have from a different angle, and he was a lot clearer at explaining this than I was. So. He gave me 6 points. He says, I asked him, I said, what do you think is behind any kind of increase in sales, or why a cassette's being referred to as having a bit of a comeback or a resurgence? He said, first one, he says they're a novelty. We're hunter-gatherers by nature. We like to collect things. Streaming and digital took that away, mostly, but by buying a physical release, it's a nice to have memento. And that's what I was saying about the merchandise, really. It's a memento. And he says they're iconic. Look at all the merch, T-shirts, mouse pads that have cassettes on them. Cassettes are cool at the moment. Yeah, so I agree with that one. Now this is interesting. Major labels are releasing them as they give them something to market on social media, something to brag about, with zero risks, as usually they sell out. Why? See points 1 and 2. So that's quite important, because you've got to post something, haven't you, about your artist. So they've got to have something out, so you could just bring out a cassette. I mean, I think it was last year or something, there was like some Kylie Minogue album, and there was like 6 different colours of cassettes came out. Well, it gets them in the news cycle for a day or so, and then everyone could print that paragraph about, do you remember cassettes when they used to get stuck and you had to wind them with a pencil, and then put the latest stats under it. So you can see it kind of, and like he says, it's zero risk. If they say we've got 300 of these, people will buy them as collectibles, and they're making a small profit on them, but it's not really about the profit, which is where we get back to my point earlier, that we're counting sales of something that really isn't being sold as a way to make money. It's being sold as merchandise or promotional tool. Now, this is another one. Independent artists don't really make any money from streaming. A fan will buy a piece of physical media to show support, and again, it's nice to have and looks good on the shelf. Yeah, I've bought some like cassettes from small artists, independent artists. I mean, people like I won't name any, but yeah, I've got some anyway. And then he says number 5 is speculators, people who buy now to hopefully sell at a profit on Discogs later. There's always the speculators, isn't there? If you've got anything that's limited edition, people will buy it to try and make a profit out of it. And then finally, old school fans. They think they think that hopefully if enough notice is taken, a major will invest in cassettes and start making new high quality blanks and decks. ... This isn't going to happen. Now, I'm pretty sure Tony was trying to get one. Well, he investigated the possibility of creating a new, good quality cassette mechanism and cassette deck and things. And he got in touch with the Chinese people and factories and all that. And at the end of it, he just realised that there wasn't any money in it. It would cost a heck of a lot of money, and he would not recuperate it. Is that the right word? Well, yeah, recoup, I should say. Not recoup it from the sales that would have come from it. So yeah, that's what Tony thinks. I agree with everything he said there. So you've got two angles on that. That's the cassette resurgence topic covered. I think that we're just counting merch, and we perhaps shouldn't be doing anymore. It's irrelevant, and Tony's got a lot of better points than I have. So between the two of us, that's the cassette revival covered. Unfortunately, yeah, it's not really what some magazines or websites would have you believe. It just seems to be, it's just a bit of fun. It's a collectible. One thing I was saying while I was out on my silly walk, which really didn't make any sense, I'm going to try again now. When you look at when you could used to go into towns and towns existed, in the UK, I presume they have these things around the world, we had jewellers, not just that, but in the bottom of a jeweller's window, below the watches, below the rings, they were tended to have like ornaments, like, and there was always these Ladro ones, they're kind of blue and white figurines, and the collectibles. And I was thinking, well, how many of those do they sell? We don't know, do we? That's, again, something we don't... They might sell millions of those things. That might be a multi-billion-pound industry for all I know. But you just see these things in the shops and you think, And that's where I was coming from with cassettes. It's like, we're counting something, but there's a lot of things we don't count that probably sell a heck of a lot more. See, still doesn't make any sense when I try and say it now, so I don't even know why I bothered. So let me have a break. I'm going to have a drink, and we'll come back and we'll move down this list. That was a big start to this thing, wasn't it? So the next things are a little bit quicker to get through. Right, now we're back, and I'm looking down my list here, and I don't know if this is the best thing to do next, because that first one perhaps was a bit boring. Well, this is worse. I'll explain though. You know, the other day, well, you might not, I put out a video about a modern day retro style boombox, the Ion Street Rocker. I think that was the name of it. In the comments under that on Patreon, I was mentioning that I originally had a much longer intro on it, but I just took it all off. And somebody asked, could they see the full thing perhaps on Patreon? Maybe that would be an idea. Well, I'll show it to you now, but you'll understand when you watch it why I took it off. It is boring. And once I'd taken the thing apart and had a good look at it, a lot of the stuff I said towards the end of it just doesn't really make too much sense keeping it in the video. But yeah, just for a little bit of an extra here, I'll just show you the original intro. Now, what I've done with this, the part that's in black and white is the part that was in the video that I've uploaded. But all the section that's in colour is the extra bit. So it's a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. It starts off in black and white and goes colour. So anyway, here's the cut-out, director's cut, special edition, extra from the Boombox video. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at this, the Ion Street Rocker. It's a new portable stereo radio cassette with Bluetooth and MP3 capabilities, playback from USB or SD card. Or to put it in a way that's a bit easy to say, it's a boombox, or as the box says, a portable retro-style stereo boombox with wireless streaming. Now, there's a reason I'm looking at this particular model, but before I get into that, I just want to remind everyone that isn't interested in hearing all this background. There are chapters for this video that are embedded into it in the video description and the timeline along the bottom. So if you want to just jump to the section where I get the thing out of the box, feel free to do so. But for the 3 or 4 people that are still here, back to the reason I'm looking at this particular model. Well, first is, it caught my eye. I thought it was quite a nice design for a modern day one. Now, you'll have seen me review quite a few of these boomboxes over the last couple of years, things that I've picked up at Aldi and such like, and they're just, most of them are horrible plastic rubbish. Recently, I reviewed a good quality one, this Panasonic RXD55, but this is really a design from sort of 10 years ago. So I was thinking more about the modern day ones, you know, that people are putting together now. And why couldn't someone make a decent quality one now? There's really nothing stopping them. Unlike your home decks, where people would expect to get, perhaps on a decent quality machine, 3 heads, various versions of Dolby, including HX Pro, soft touch controls, auto reverse, all those kind of things. Well, we generally didn't expect to get those on a basic boombox back in the 1980s. This model here, this triple deck, now just forget the fact it's got 3 decks on it, but just as an example of a 1985 cassette deck, a portable stereo radio cassette deck, here's what it has. Well, it hasn't got very much. I mean, we've got one-way speakers. It doesn't have Dolby. It doesn't have soft touch. It doesn't have auto reverse. It's got basic mechanisms inside. When I did the repair, we could see that they were very similar, if not the same, as a tenashing mechanism. The same that they still sell nowadays and still available for anyone putting a cassette deck together. So really, when you look at this, there's nothing stopping anyone making something that is of a similar quality to this. And the thing is, I do like the sound of this. It sounds all right. It sounds perfectly fine for playing back cassettes, and it's just like the kind of thing that I probably would have been listening to them back on in 1985, other than the 3 cassette decks. So yeah, you could recreate that with modern day off-the-shelf stuff, and you could add on Bluetooth and MP3 playback capabilities and put it in a nice retro looking design like this. So theoretically this could be all right. I'm hoping it is. Will it be? Very unlikely, but I live in hope. I don't go into these things hoping to find something that's rubbish and then go, oh, let's look at this, it's terrible. I go in hoping it's something I can recommend, and then I'm usually sort of let down and disappointed. Probably more than likely going to happen here, but fingers crossed it isn't. Let's look on the bright side. I like what they've done with the design here, because the retro look that they've gone for, they haven't gone for the super flashy kind of all chrome type of thing and ridiculous looking. They've gone for a kind of subtle look that does look like something almost that could have come from back in the day. For example, I've got this advert here with Earth, Wind and Fire. I'll show you a proper picture of this with their boom boxes, and they're a much better quality, of course, than this. There'll be lots of metal used on there, nice switches and things, but still, it's along the same kind of lines as the design of this street rocker. So that's the look they've gone for. I think it's a clever look to go for, because you can make a pretty basic machine, but people aren't looking at it thinking, oh, you're trying to pretend to be something you're not. No, they're trying to pretend to be like something that looks older than this, but they're not going for the, oh, this is going to be the best boombox in the world type of look. So yeah, let's get inside this box, and fingers crossed, again, I don't know if I can cross them twice, it'd probably be dangerous, but this might be all right. There's no reason it can't be all right. It's just laziness and incompetence if it isn't. So let's find out. So yeah, coming out of that, you'll see exactly why I cut it. I think the video is better without all that nonsense in there. But a couple of things to mention off the back of that. I got a couple of little signs you might have seen. The Earth, Wind and Fire one that I showed in the video, you'll notice it's up behind me here. Actually, let me just get it on the screen and bring you in on that. So yeah, this comes from an advertisement. I've seen this picture on, like, say, Pinterest or something, and I just love the picture because it's just so kind of 1970s going into 1980s type of thing. But they're all quite really sort of proud of their cool boomboxes, and yet the boombox that's shown is one that really would be considered pretty low end, I suppose, by the time the mid-80s rolled around. So there's just something very almost naive and appealing about this advert. I just love it. So you might have noticed I've got it up here behind me now. And so what I did is I got, you know that you get those people on eBay that'll cut a page out of a magazine and sell it to you at a ridiculous cost. It's like a limited edition, special artwork or whatever. Well, it was one of those. But the thing is, I wanted the original image so I could scan it in at a high res, and then I could get it printed at like a photo place. So I've got it up here on, it's like on a piece of kind of almost polystyrene, kind of spongy, they call it like a tile. So it's just a white tile with it printed on the top. And the reason I've got it there is because I had like a mark-up on the wall where I'd had something, and I kind of painted over it, and I could always see it on the videos. It was just like this kind of slightly differently coloured splodge. It like reflected differently on the camera, and it annoyed me. So that's why Earth, Wind and Fire are up there now. But next to that is that boombox sign. That's a neon sign that I just got the other week, and I've got an image of that on here to make it a bit clearer. So yeah, that's it switched off. Now you'll see, if you look at the back behind that one, there's it's got like a kind of graffiti art backing to it. So if I just move to the one with it lit up, you can see there, So the idea with this, I had that other one that was a cassette, but it had a mirror backing. So every time I switched it on with the on-air side, it all just reflected off the backing, and I didn't like the way it looked on the camera, but I couldn't figure out any way to kind of angle it differently. So this one, much prefer it to that one. Anyway, so that was just a little bit of information. I don't think... Oh, and people have asked about this orange phone. I just like the look of it. It was... I've seen them. There's a lot of bookmarks that I've got for like eBay and things, and I have them for German eBay as well, because a lot of things are listed in Germany that they don't list internationally, and if you ask nicely, they'll often send them to the UK. I've got a couple of weird things in the past this way. So I have like a page on ebay.de, and I've got some German words in there that search for kind of weird tech and stuff. Not very much comes up, but I kept seeing these orange phones when I was looking for other things, and every time I saw one, it really caught my eye, because I don't remember us having orange phones over here. In my parents' house, we had rotary phones like this, and a lot longer after anyone else had push button ones. I mean, years and years later, people were like, I'd called us ones and we were still on these. And there was one like downstairs and one upstairs. We were posh, we had two phones, but there was like a kind of, I'm trying to think what it called. It was like a green one downstairs, like a kind of dark green with a slightly darker green section for the numbers. And I think the upstairs one might have been like a cream colour. So yeah, with no bright colours anyway. So when I saw like a bright orange telephone, it just appeals to me. So that's why that's there. It's wide up for the German standard, but it would need to be rewired for the UK and have an adapter. But there's no point, because I don't have any phone sockets up here. I've got one phone socket downstairs, and then I've got a wireless base station and 3 phones around the house connected up to that. I couldn't, there's no way really to connect a German phone to a wireless English mobile phone, well, internal phone network. So yeah, it's just an ornament, that's all it is. Unless you can think of anything really cool I could do with it. Let me know if you can. Now, let me do a bit of an insert about the Korg karaoke machine, because there's been a bit of an update on that one. The music cards finally arrived, and I've got the Beatles one here and the Song for You. Now, all these other music cards, these are all much like the ones I've already got, mostly Japanese stuff. There might be the odd familiar tune in there. But these two, A Song for You and the Beatles, these were the ones that I was really interested in, because I thought that it's quite possible the lyrics would be showing up for these in English on the device, and I think they are going to do. I'll just get these out. I'm not going to get the Beatles one out, because as soon as you play like a millisecond of Beatles music, we're going to hit a content match. But we'll get this a Song for You out. We'll look at the Beatles another day. And the reason I think these are in English is because when they come with these booklets, they've got lyric sheets in them. And the Beatles one, everything's in English. There's no Japanese text in there at all. And the same with A Song for You. Now, A Song for You is all familiar songs. Right, Alone Again, Bridge Over Troubled Water, California Dreaming, Close to You, Daydream Believer, The Dock of the Bay, Have You Ever Seen the Rain, Imagine, Killing Me Softly, My Girl, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. It goes on and on and on. All very familiar songs. So this is the one I want to have a look at. Now, there's a chap, Scott Crowley, commented under the thing when I did this update last time. He said, the first track on the Korg A Song for You card is titled Alone Again. I wonder if it's actually Alone Again or by the psychedelic rock group Love. No, sorry, it isn't. Sorry about that. I've just checked, because in the booklet it tells you who wrote the song. And Alone Again is by Gilbert O'Sullivan. So, anyway, let's not go into that too great a detail. I've got this second camera set up here just so we can put this card in now and see if the text comes up in English. Put this card in here. Hopefully it's going to read it. Hold on, it has to go in for a double click. There we go. A Song for You. Now, what? I forgot my buttons. Oh, yeah, it's these two. Right, 22 we're looking for. Now, I've got my speakers on behind me, I think. Let's find out. Let's turn it up. Oh, it's all in English, that's good. Let's just pause that a second because I don't want to go into it too much. I'm going to pick another one. These ones actually are by somebody else. You know, like the Korg ones are all sort of Korg. The Beatles and A Song for You. Whilst it says Korg at the bottom, there's a logo on here. Actually, I'll bring it on the camera. It's that Lydia. I don't know who Lydia is, but it says the same at the top of both of them there. Lydia. All the others don't have that logo on. Right. Let's pick another song. Satisfaction. That's the Rolling Stones one. Gotta say it's not as well done as the Korg stuff, is it? Like the arrangements seem a little bit more basic. Let's pick another one. I'll tell you what. Right at the end of here. Oh, White a Shade of Pale. How about that one? I'm just whizzing through a bit. Let's turn it down a bit. Well, at least they're all in English, so let's do Your Song. That's a good one, isn't it? It's not that good when this one does it, is it? Right, well, I just wanted to show you that because it's slightly disappointed that they don't sound as good as I was hoping. We'll look at these again some other day. I don't want to take too much of your time up. I think that was it. That's all I wanted to do. Let's get back to the main video. I might try and play us out with a little bit of a Beatles one, just a little bit right at the end. I'm not sure whether it's going to hit a content match or not. Of course, I get the opportunity to upload these, find out if it does, and if it will, I'll take it off, because it's not just about getting videos demonetized, because I don't monetize the Patreon updates. I don't want adverts showing on these ones, but it's a matter of getting them blocked. They can be blocked by the copyright holder as well, so I don't want a video blocked. If the Beatles audio at the end blocks it, there won't be any Beatles audio at the end. Talking a content match though, this was a bit stressful this month. I got a thing through from YouTube. One of your videos has had a copyright strike type thing against it, or a content match. I forgot the terminology, but yeah, like a stroppy email came through, and I had a look, and it was the video I'd done about the very expensive reel-to-reel tape recordings. I called it the most expensive music format in the world, and this video is one of the perennial ones. You know, there's a handful of videos that just keep doing well for me. In fact, I'd say it's like top two. The first one is that Nixie Watch video that I really don't like the video. I've done better ones since, but it just keeps getting in the recommended list for some reason. And the second one down, so really the first video, as far as I'm concerned, that I'm happy with that gets recommended, is the most expensive music format in the world, about reel-to-reel. And that's the one, you might remember, where I play a tape from 1957, an early demonstration stereo tape recording that has like, this is New Year's Eve in Times Square in mono, and it's all, and this is it in stereo, all explodes and stuff. Yeah, and there's the woman at the bowling alley, that's the lady Jude Fontaine, I think, who was in Rocky and Bullwink, who was doing the voice on that. But anyway, so that very popular video, and I had a look back, and in some months it's earned me £100, that video. I mean, most videos like £2 or £1 or nothing, pence. So that it's a significant part of my monthly income in a way, that one. And so I got this content match strike thing against it, which meant I wouldn't be earning any money off that video ever again. And I thought, well, what? Now, if it was coming from RCA Victor from that sound effects thing, I would have just cut it out. I thought, oh, just cut it, mute it. Doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it was quite a significant part of the video. So the bit that was matching was that bit. This is New Year's Eve in Times Square. That bit. I thought, well, I'd had a look to see who was claiming it, and it was like some sort of nobody label. It wasn't RCA, it wasn't anyone like that, or whoever owns those things now, Victor, Universal Music, or anybody like that. It was just some kind of independent label. And it didn't give me a link to what it referred to. So I wrote back with, you can sort of, oh, see, this is where my words are failing me today now again. I think I must be running low on sugar. But you can dispute, that's the word I was looking for. You can dispute the claim. So I clicked the box, dispute it, and I said, and you only get a limited selection of options while you're disputing it. And you don't really get to, like, say, well, it's my, you know, I got it off of tape 1957. So I had to just tick a box, and it was like, I recorded this, or I made this, or whatever. And I had to tick the box, saying it's public domain. I ticked a box, it's public domain. That was the nearest thing that I had an option on. So I sent that off, and within like a couple of hours it came back. Your claim has been rejected. The whole video has now been demonetized or whatever, because originally it said it was sharing the revenue or something. Now, as I mentioned before, sharing means I've pretty much lost 99% of it, so it doesn't matter. So I was like, oh, what's this now? So I looked up what this thing matched. It just said something like skit something or other. So I searched on it, and it was like this independent sort of hip-hop group, I think, from the UK, but just some blokes, and I searched on it, and it was a track on this album that they'd come out with in September 2020, and they'd sampled from my video. They'd taken the audio from my video on YouTube and put it into their skit, which was like the end of side B or whatever, and they got a bit of rapping or talking or scratching or whatever over it, and then this bit played at the end of it. And I knew it was from my video because that bit that I'd played, I'd edited. It had gone on a lot longer than that. So it went straight from the New York into the bowling alley. But I think there was a bit in the middle that was a bit boring that I took out, like with a train going past or something. And I'd kind of cut it down, shortened it considerably, just so it was more interested in the video. And they just used the recording from mine, but it was overlaid onto their thing. It was all beats and stuff in the background and things. So it was obviously, it was my audio, because mine's clean and theirs has all beats on it. So there's no way I could take it the other way around. And besides which, they'd uploaded in September 2020, and I'd uploaded it in 2017 or something. So I appealed, and I clicked the thing, and I said, no, they've taken the audio from my video, put it onto theirs. But you see, it's one guy going up against a recording label, and they tend to favour the recording labels. And it said on this thing, if this is found against you, you'll get a content match strike, a copyright strike. You can only have 3 of those, you lose your YouTube channel. So it's pretty stressful, this. I clicked this thing, sent it off, and I thought, well, if I lose this, just because they've arbitrarily decided that I'm at fault somehow, I'm going to be in trouble here. Fortunately, it said that the artist has allowed this thing. It kind of went that way, has dropped their claim against your video. But yeah, it was the opposite way around. It was my audio, kind of. It was from 1957 RCA Victor, but my audio that then someone had used in their video, and then of course they'd got their record and said this whole record is, if anyone uploads it, it's illegal and it's content match. So that's how I understand how it works. And it happens a lot. I know it happens a lot. There's loads of, I've seen other YouTube people mention this about their audio. Say a musician would play something on a piano, and then somebody sample it or use that in their thing, and then claim back against the original guy who was playing it. I know it happens a lot, but when it happens to you, it's incredibly stressful because it all seems weighted against me. That oh no, you're in the wrong straight off. I'm the guy that has to say, hold on a minute, I'm the guy that has to appeal against somebody nicking my audio and claiming it for their own. It's a pretty stressful thing. All right. So that's what happened this month. Got it sorted in the end. Well, so far it'll probably bounce back. I'm aware these things tend to keep coming back over and over again. But yeah, I didn't enjoy that at all. Now, I've got a T-shirt here. You know, remember I got that logo put on the T-shirts for the the new Techmoan logo last time. Someone sent me, and I said I'll put it on some T-shirts. I got a sample one here where I'm supposed to have it kind of at a badge height here. Now I don't wear T-shirts in these videos because I want someone to clip my lavalier, and I don't look good in T-shirts. I look like an old guy trying to pretend he's a young guy. But failing miserably. I don't have the right shape for T-shirts either. But I'll try this on and we'll see how it goes. I was concerned because when you design these things, you go onto the Teespring site, which is what I use because it links in with YouTube, and you can pick like a design, and you can. So I've got the logo, and you can have it like all the way across. But when you're trying to place it on one side, you're not quite sure whether you've got it high or low enough. It doesn't have like a box saying put it here. So you could end up with like a logo kind of really high up or like down there. It just would look a bit odd. So I'll see if I got it right. I haven't opened it yet. We'll have a look at this in a minute. And I wonder if I could play something else in it. Have I got anything else that I can link in as a cutaway? I don't think I have. Actually, just realised I do have something I can insert into here. I got a really interesting parcel delivered this month. Well, perhaps the parcels are not interesting, the contents are. So I'll put that insert in here, and what I'll do now is I'll stick this T-shirt on and see if it makes me look like an idiot. So you can watch that, I'll stick a T-shirt on. Now, if I could, I would have started this with the music out of 2001, but of course content match means I can't do that, but just hum it to yourself in your head. I wanted to show this being unboxed because whilst I don't normally do unboxings, this is a particularly unusual device. It's not like me showing, oh, here's a cell phone, oh, there's the USB charger and all that boring crap. This is a little bit unique. It's the only time I'll ever unbox one of these, but it's not new. It's been packaged like this by a chap in Russia. I bought it from via eBay from a guy in Russia. Took about 6 weeks to arrive. Cost me a lot of money, so I was a little bit concerned about it all the way through. If it's broken, I'll be very upset. But again, I thought, well, might as well unbox it and just show it and see exactly what condition it's in. I've got to say, it seems like he's done a good job of packaging it. So that's, you know, I mean, when you order something, you've got no idea whether the person at the other end's a bit of a clown as far as packaging things. Now, anyone got any guesses as to what this is, looking at the size of it? I think some people might figure it out. Anyway, let's get into it. I think we'll probably lay it flat to be a better idea. I just did this for the 2001 gag at the beginning, but let me move it around. Now, I'm barely in the shot, aren't I? But we'll just get the plastic off first of all. Looks like I'm going to be doing a bit of vacuuming later on with all this polystyrene. I don't know if you noticed the minimum amount of effort I've gone to here. I've even got one of those shirts on that'll do that. I can't pronounce it. That whizzy pattern on the screen, but we'll just have to put up with that. Right, let's see if this falls down. No. Okay. Well, I've got to say this guy knows how to package something. So what we've got here is covered it in this polythene stuff, bin bag type material, and then he's surrounded a cardboard box with polystyrene. That's to take the bumps, because it is a fragile old piece of retro tech, and as I mentioned, a very expensive one. So last thing he needs is someone trying to say that it arrived broken, and he's done a good job here. Something in this end bit. What's he playing there? A step-down power transformer. Smart guy, because this is a Japanese item. Yeah, it came from Russia, but it's tied off in Japan. And he's provided me with a step-down power transformer, because last thing he needs is for me to get this out and then plug it in and blow it. So, I mean, you never know when you're at the other end what kind of lunatic you're dealing with. Obviously, I wouldn't have done that, but I'd imagine loads of people would just get stuff from Japan and plug it in and it'd go pop, and then they'd blame somebody else for it. I've got to apologise for the lighting. It's not the best, is it? If I was doing this properly, I'd be bringing all the lights in, but I just wanted to get this done. I'm starting to think maybe I should vacuum it as I'm getting it out, but now, this is something that I've been after for years, and they've just been going up and up in price ever since I first saw one. I don't really remember them from when they first came out, other than from seeing photos of them. I never saw one in person because they were expensive back then as well. Right, I think we've got there now. Let's take that out. The house looks like a Christmas snow scene now. I'm going to be finding this polystyrene for years to come, I'd imagine. Now, got to be careful at this point. I don't want to scratch the thing, so just cut through the bubble pack. Right, there we go. I think you can see what this is. I know loads of people are going to recognise it now, but we'll keep going. For anyone who hasn't spotted the exact model, although it is pretty iconic, so if you know anything about boomboxes, you'll recognise this one. This is the JVC M90. Well, this is the RCM90, the Victor version. Obviously, JVC, Japanese Victor Corporation. I've got to say it every time, because if I don't, somebody mentions it, not on Patreon, but I know on YouTube. If I don't mention that Victor is JVC, you get 100 other people saying it. So we just like telling each other the same thing over and over again, don't we? But there you go. That's the RCM90. And you can see why I don't normally shoot things in this room, or when I do, I have to be very careful, because you get lighting conditions like this, so this isn't ideal. But yeah, I've just plugged it in, haven't switched it on yet. Looking at it, very happy to see that I can't see any blemishes on it at all. No snapped off buttons, no massive scratches. I can't really see any scratches, which is very rare for one of these, because, I mean, the thing with all boom boxes is you've got a lot of exposed stuff on the front here, and people are carrying them around, and it just takes the slightest knock and you've ruined it. But whoever had this one looked after it. Now, I think the guy said he'd refurbished it. I can't remember, it was a while ago now. I'm pretty sure he said that though, so it should be working fine. Let's switch it on. Oh, of course, with it being the Japanese one, all the controls are labelled in Japanese. Well, all except we've got a couple here. The Dolby isn't labelled. It's sort of Super ANRS, Dolby B. A couple of words in English, but generally it's in Japanese. So I actually like that. I think it adds a kind of Blade Runner aesthetic to the thing, even though I don't know what any of the buttons are, but I'm sure I'll figure it out in time. I've seen people go, oh, you should learn Japanese, it'll only take you a couple of days. Yeah, it will not take me a couple of days, it'll take me a couple of lifetimes. I know, oh, it's a simplified, you got the simplified words and they mean the same thing and all that. But honestly, languages is a complete block to me. You might as well ask me to go swimming. I can hardly do that either. There's a lot of things I can't do. I'm pretty unskilled in a load of areas. Anyway, let's switch it on. Right. Now, it's a logic control cassette deck, so you might have heard it go click then. So I'd imagine that's the eject. It's got a smooth eject, so obviously that means it's good, doesn't it? I'm going to put this tape in here. This shouldn't really hit a copy or a content match if I just play it for a few seconds, because it's kind of a mix of beats and things. So we'll see. So I'll pop that in there. Now I've got a play button, but I don't know if I'm on in the cassette mode. I don't know which the cassette mode will be. We'll press play and find out. Right, so that's not it. Is this a switch? No. How about this one? Haha! I think we've got the bass a bit high. Right, stop there for content match reasons. Fast forward. It's working. Counter's working. Sounds really high quality as far as boombox goes, but I think we've got some kind of mega bass on here. Right, so it works. Good news. Now, yeah, the reason I got this one, I'll no doubt go into this again when I do a video, is I don't know if you saw, there's a company called Replitronics or Replitronics. They do those little miniaturized arcade machines. And what they started a range of, well, they're starting a range of miniaturized boomboxes, classic boomboxes, as I said, and they're going to do a load of them, well, a number. And they started off with what is widely referred to as the king of boomboxes, the JVC RCM90. Now, over the years, I keep seeing these, and I kept thinking, you know, I really should get one of those, because I'm going to do a couple of videos about boomboxes, and it seems remiss of me, to talk about boomboxes not having the best one. I've got like a couple, and a guy sent me one the other week, which is a really interesting one, unusual. But I can imagine whatever one I showed, it'd be like, well, you should get the RCM90. You know, it's a bit kind of like a cliche of a boombox in a way, a very good cliche, but you know, it's the one that everyone would mention. I thought, well, I've got to get it. And this Replitronics were bringing out a miniaturised one. So initially I thought, well, I'll get that miniaturised one, that'll be fun. And it kind of kept playing on my mind. I was thinking, well, that's a bit of a cop-out, getting a model of one, which is nice. It looks like it's going to be good. It's going to be like a Bluetooth receiver, speaker thing with an AM/FM radio. Of course, no cassette deck because it's shrunken. But it's going to look like this. So everything kind of kept pointing me to this and saying, look, if you don't get one, you're not doing your job properly. So I thought, well, I'll have to get one. So I got one. And I'm very happy with it, actually, looking at this. But yeah, I'm going to learn all about it. And then when I start a series on boomboxes, it's not going to be like a series, like episode 1, episode 2 type thing. But when I start featuring them every now and then, I'll be featuring a few modern ones. This should be the one that I show first to say, yes, I've got the best one. Now let's have a look at some others after that. That was the idea anyway. One thing I want to say, actually, I'll be saying this in the video, I'm sure I will. FM radio. As you're probably aware, in Japan, radio for a long period of time in FM used to go, I think, from 76 up to 90 or thereabouts. Now, most of the radio stations in the UK, or is it 76 to 80? No, it was 76 to 90, I think. Anyway, it's just the bottom end of what we would normally get. So most of the stuff that I could pick up is up this end here. So the kind of good quality stuff right here, it's up the top end, like 103, 105, that kind of thing. So most Japanese radios, I say most, of an era, boomboxes, when I go looking at old boomboxes on Japanese auctions, you always have to zoom in and look at the dial to see what it will pick up, because I don't want a boombox that can only pick up like Radio 2. Fortunately, back in the day, Victor decided to do this as the full range, even though this is the Japanese model. There are more modern ones, if there were more modern ones. Well, Japan sort of started using the top end of the bands as well. It used to coincide with television, I think, in the analogue days. So, you know, if you sort of had a radio, went to 90, then you'd have like 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever that would pick up the analogue TV channels, which would have been the bits further up. So let's just see if it picks up the radio. It'll be interesting, won't it? Just before we finish this bit. Now, what was the button that I used to turn the tape on? I have no idea. Was it this one? That's showing like a battery meter. And that was the bass thing, wasn't it? Let's get the radio on. Sounds great. Now, it's just as a demonstration, if I start at, see, it actually says television channel there, so I don't know where this starts. I think if I start at about 90, I think, is where it tends to cut off normally on Japanese radios, and I just want to go down from there just to demonstrate how little is below that in the UK.
Has been introduced in response to...
That'll be Radio 2.
Parliament has a problem.
Nothing here. So yeah, if you get a Japanese radio that only goes up to 90, well, I'm going to get Radio 2 in the UK. However, up the end is where all the good stuff is.
Pressure a little bit.
So you get the idea. There you go. This will be appearing sometime in the future. Please don't ask when. I don't know. I've got stuff that I bought 3 years ago I haven't shown yet. So at least the sun's got in the right position anyway. Right, anyway, got to finish now. Talking too much. thanks for, I don't know what I'm saying. Thanks for me. Thanks to this guy who sent it. Thanks to JVC, Victor, and let's stop because this is just nonsense now. Right, now I'm holding my lavalier here because I don't want to scrunch up the front just yet. What do you think? Does that look all right? I'm not convinced. Is that the right? I mean, it is straight, but once you kind of arm goes down, it goes at a bit of an angle. Looks like a work here, doesn't it? Looks like it's some kind of electrics retailer. Oh, I used to get asked if I worked at places all the time. You know, when I was working in Manchester, and I'd have like, you had to have a shirt on for work. And whenever I walked around a shop, someone would say, "Oh, can I just ask you about the thing you've got on display here?" And I always say, "I'm sorry, I don't work here." And they always looked at me like really angry, like somehow it was my fault I wasn't working there. Well, it was my fault I wasn't working there, I suppose. But I mean, let me off, mate. I was just on my lunch. But anyway, so that's the reason I went for the black T-shirt. And it's only available in black is because the logo's got a black background on it. And the guy did a transparent one. It didn't look very good. It's a logo that only really looks good with a black background. I don't know. That's what it looks like anyway. People asked, I said that I'd get one for myself just to show what it looked like. This is XL. Fits all right, this actually. I've bought XLs before that don't. I'm not the sveltest of people in the world, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's what that looks like. I'm going to change back to my other shirt though, because I want to be able to clip my lavalier on something. I'll show you what it looks like. See if I do it on a t-shirt. See that? Yeah. But anyway, there you go. That's the t-shirt. I'm not in the merchandise business. I kind of knock it out because people ask me to. But on the Teespring thing, you can set a price for these. And it says like, most people have this set at $35. And I like drag the slider all the way down to like almost like the bottom. I say almost the bottom, because at the bottom you make like 1 cent a shirt or something. I think it's set to make like $2 or £2 or something each one. Because I thought, what's the point of even having stuff if you're not getting anything for it? But I'm not charging somebody flipping $35 for a blooming t-shirt. But it's all right. It's all right. I don't know, I'll never be able to wear it. I'm not the kind of person that could walk around with a t-shirt on and say, this is what I do for a living. Not that anyone's going to see it now anyway. I might wear it around the house. But anyway, yeah, enough about t-shirts. I'm not in that business. So yeah, let's stop. I'm going to cut back to me with my other shirt back on. That's more me, isn't it? Definitely look better in a shirt. I'm no good with t-shirts. It's something with the neck. I just look weird with t-shirts on. Right, creaky chair. I said I'd sort it out last time. That was a month ago. I didn't. But anyway, I want to bring this in because I forgot. I was going to go on about adverts. I'll do that in a moment. I just wanted to talk about this. There's a feature on YouTube which came in a few months ago, and it's one of the weirdest things. I just want to bring it in on the screen here. So let me bring that in, and me on the insert. Wow, this chair's creaky. This is... you won't know this from if you don't have a YouTube channel. So I wanted to just bring it to your attention. There's an auto response option on YouTube. So this is like someone says, thanks, love your channel. And I could click below. Obviously, this isn't the real thing, but I've taken screenshots. I could click, glad you enjoy it. Thank you too. Thanks for watching, all exclamation marks. So this is kind of what YouTube thinks the responses should be. I think it's quite clever that it can read the thing and come up with a response, but they're very pithy, aren't they? Let me show you some more, because it just amuses me. They kind of, if somebody's writing a comment to you, would it be worse using one of these predefined responses than like not responding? I think it'd be worse using a predefined response. It just shows a lack of personal, anyway, whatever it is. Next one. I'm a techie, so all your videos interest me, thanks. This was, I think, when I was going on a video about, like, you know, one was split into two. I had the tech side and the other side. So I could say to that, so nice of you, glad you like them, glad to hear it. I'm not feeling this. That's gone small, hasn't it? Let's bring that in on the middle there. I've never found any of your videos boring. Wow, thanks. Yay, thank you. Glad you like them. So yeah, this is the plane one. Use the strap on your mast to keep it in place, said the guy on the plane. Somehow decades old recordings on old tech are relevant again. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these comments. Comments are fine. It's just this auto thing I find. I what's the word? Ingenuous? No, I'm making up words now. Anyway, I don't like I'm not using the. I haven't used one. I'll just tell you that. So I can reply, good tip, good point, good to know. I mean, it's very short, aren't they? Have I got another one? Techmoan is the man, always showcasing amazing formats. Couldn't agree more. That'll be good coming back from me, wouldn't it? Couldn't agree more that Techmoan's the man. Always, no doubt. I think we're coming up with names of pop groups now. Is there anything else on here? Oh no, back to the beginning again. Yeah, so, is it this button? No, I've done it wrong again. That one. I tell you what, that's like the crap shot, isn't it? You know, when I complained about the crap shot where people are talking to someone off camera and then suddenly they're on camera again going, yeah, so the reason that I think this is because for some reason I'm now ignoring you, but now I'm back talking to you again. And now I'm ignoring you and talking to someone else. I don't know why this keeps happening. Yeah, anyway, sorry, going far from any topic that anyone wanted to talk about. But yeah, that was the auto responses. I just thought auto responses, what a bizarre feature. So we'll move that into our done folder over here. I don't normally have folders that are this gigantic. And the adverts. I just want to talk about adverts. Right, now, this, I'll show you one of these on... this is weird now. What am I going to do with this? I'm playing a video. Right. Now, I have... Let me bring myself in on the screen here again. And go up there. Now, don't get worried. It's not what you think it is. But this is what my point is. I keep my eye on the videos, on the adverts on YouTube, and I find some of them bizarre, as we mentioned in the past, with the earwax and all that kind of stuff. This has taken a different turn this month. There's been an advert that looks like it's advertising some kind of pornographic website. And this is the advert. And this is all the advert is. I'm going to play it. It's just some girl sat there looking at the camera like this. Now, there's music playing in the background. I'm not going to play the music because I think it's something normal. It's like Tears for Fears or something. Just some music playing. So it sounds like it's coming off a radio. And at the bottom it says, My Little Secret XXX WA football site. So you can see the timers running down here on the left there. And I saw this coming. I thought, what the heck is this advert for? It just seems to be like some kind of weird... And then it goes to that at the end where I could click on it. Now, does that look to you like it would have taken you through to some kind of weird webcam-y kind of pornography type of a thing? It looked like that, didn't it? And I didn't click on it. And I saw this coming up a couple of times. Eventually I thought, well, I'm surprised that they're advertising sort of pornography on YouTube. I'm going to have to find out what this is that's coming in, being advertised before my videos, because I'm not really happy if there's pornography adverts going on before my videos. The whole thing, it kind of brings it down to a tacky, another level of tackiness, doesn't it? I mean, we've gone from really crappy adverts to pornography here. What is this advert? I had to find out. So this is the next time it showed up, and I recorded the screen, right? So just, you can see what's going on here. I also got to mention, I love how YouTube always recommends me on videos back to me. Oh, I'll watch that, about that. But anyway, yeah, so here's what the screen looked like as I was recording it. So it says, just your friendly next door neighbour at the top, Eleanor Lane. Top right, My Little Secret, wafootball.site, XXX. So we've got the banner that goes with it, right? So this time, I thought I'm going to have to click on this and see what's going on. So let's press play. Right, so I clicked on the link at the bottom left there. And look what happens after I've clicked on it and I get the link through. Here's where it goes to. Fashion Beans. Seems to be like a website for... Well, it seems like a fashion website. I think it's a website that's advertising clothing and things like that to you. I didn't click any further into it, but yeah, that is that's the website that gets linked to from that video. That is very odd, isn't it? Take it off the screen. It's going around in a loop now, this video. But yeah, so that's an interesting development, isn't it? We've now got clickbait adverts that look like pornography, but then send you to some men's fashion website. That's a new one, isn't it? I'm wrapping this up now. There's very little left. I just want to talk about feeling old, which I keep getting these things at the moment where something makes me feel like, oh, I didn't realise I was that old. I'll give you an example. With all this COVID business going on and stuff, staying in, watching old films and things, I ended up getting hold of the Hindenburg, the Robert Wise film on Blu-ray. And this is something that made me feel old. First off, the reason I got it, I like Robert Wise as a director because one of my favourite films, I don't want to say my favourite film, but one of the ones that I've watched over and over again many times over the years is the Andromeda Strain, because there's a lot of things in there that I really like but the director of it's Robert Wise. And a lot of the things that I like in the Andromeda Strain are because of the direction. So I thought, I'll watch the Hindenburg, because I couldn't remember it. I've seen it as a kid on television, and of course back then it would have been in, obviously, very standard definition. It's a widescreen. It would have been in like pan and scan. It would have been a telesync. It would have been look rotten. Would have been in mono sound as well. So I thought, now is the opportunity to go back and have a good look at it in HD. So I got hold of this, and as I was watching it, I was sort of realising. It's a 1975 film, this, by the way. First off, George C. Scott was younger than me when he made that film. And I always imagine George C. Scott as like the old chap, Patton and all the rest of it. And yet I'm watching a 1975 film, which to me doesn't really seem that old. I mean, it's just a couple of years before Star Wars. And yet George C. Scott's in it, and he's a year younger than I am while I'm watching him. So that was one thing that made me feel old. And then the second thing was, I thought, 1975, when was the Hindenburg? So the Hindenburg disaster was 1937. So I was... All right, hold on. Let me get this right. The Hindenburg film in 1975 was made as long after the Hindenburg disaster as today is from the launch of the Sinclair Spectrum. Because the Sinclair Spectrum, 1982 to 2020, the Hindenburg film, 1975 to 1937. I know that's a bit of a weird thing to do, but I start doing these kind of mental arithmetic things. So yeah, it was as the actual Hindenburg disaster was as relatable to the people watching the Hindenburg film when it came out in the cinemas as the launch of the Sinclair Spectrum is to someone of my age now. And talking of old films, I was watching The Narrow Margin again recently, not the original one, the remake, the 1990 film. Again, I got hold of a Blu-ray of it in HD, of course. I went looking for a download on this one. I thought I'm not too bothered about collecting it. So I went looking on like Amazon and Apple and all the other kind of places where I could get hold of the film to stream. And maybe, just to rent or whatever, because I just fancied watching it again for some reason. And there was no HD ones anywhere. And I thought, well, I refuse to pay to watch something in standard definition. If it's on for free, I'd watch it, but I refused to pay. So I ended up again buying the Blu-ray of it. I got hold of the Blu-ray, and it was one of those ones that was locked to region A, like just to be an arse. So I don't know if you remember, I got that Blu-ray player and I put the chip in it a while ago so I could watch movies that were region locked. So I got that out, linked it up to the telly, and I could finally watch my movie. But I sat down, it was movie night. I thought, I'll tell you what, let's watch The Narrow Margin. The missus didn't remember ever seen it, and I just fancied watching something that I knew she'd be quite happy watching. So got it all out, put the Blu-ray in, I should say, and it said this is locked to region A. So I tried the kind of top menu trick and all the button press tricks and skipping. It had figured out what people might try and do and just would not let you do any of these things. They'd really locked it down. So I thought, gits. So I ended up getting this player out. I managed to watch it in the end. So I was glad I did chip that Blu-ray player. That's something that was worthwhile me doing. But yeah, happening more and more, this locked region Blu-rays and stuff. But anyway, talking of movies, I'm a big movie fan. Not in the sense that I could sort of tell you all about them and things, because I forget. I've got a very poor short-term memory nowadays, and long-term, and every other kind of memory. But I'm a big fan of movies. I've always been that way, and watching old movies, new movies, especially old. I love 1970s movies. I've got a big thing for 1970s movies. Anyway, if you're like me and you like movies, I've managed to find there's this chap who's got a VHD player or two, and he's got an ability to capture the video off his VHDs, or her, I don't know, it could be either. It's pretty sure it's him. And he's this person has got hold of these old VHDs of like these programs, like a bit like this one here, Movies Volume 1, the video magazine, where they have like interviews with people who are making the movies, and they show like trailers and stuff. Used to love stuff like this back in the day. But anyway, so this chap's got hold of this VHD player. He's got hold of those old VHDs from Japan, and he thought it was a bit of a shame that no one could ever see them anymore, because after all, they're just publicity. It's not like there's anything in there other than promoting films and talking with actors, many of whom who are now dead, and the stuff. Some of this stuff will never get seen ever again. All this back set. So this chap, this random bloke or woman, has uploaded them to a separate YouTube channel. And they even got like a burner phone so they could set it up. And I've got a link to it somewhere. So yeah, they sent me the link to their channel that has no association at all with my YouTube channel. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description of this post if you just want to watch that. I'll be honest, I haven't watched it all myself yet. That's something I'm looking forward to doing. But it's just like that old kind of 1987, this movie's coming out, it's like Top Gun and stuff, kind of golden age really, in a way, of movies. So yeah, that's something. The chap's name, it's Skip Intro. I don't know where he came up with that from. It might have been while he was watching videos on Netflix and Apple TV and stuff. But so Skip Intro's got this channel, and I'll put you a link to this thing. And so far he's just uploaded Movies Volume 1 from January 87, and he tells me, or she tells me, that they haven't had it taken down yet. It'd be a shame that if you couldn't see some of this old stuff, wouldn't it? Anyway, that was all I wanted to say. That's everything I've got here, I think, and that was quite long, wasn't it? But that's because we've got some bits that I shot earlier. Tell me what you think. Did you like it with the extra bits in it? Was it worth me taking the time out this month to do this, or is this just something that's not interesting to you? I shot these extra bits as throughout the month, and I just wanted to break it up a little bit rather than just have some old duffer sat in a chair going on about nothing. But as a result, it meant I fell behind a little bit with some of the other projects, but it also gave me a bit of a break from just doing the same thing every day. So I quite like doing this, but it does make some of the other projects a little bit sort of fall back a bit. I don't know, is it worth it or not? You'd let me know. But that's it for this one. And I don't know why I'm looking behind me. I'm sort of expecting someone to creep up and attack me, but there's nothing there, fortunately. So that's it for this month's update. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll do another one of these as soon as I can put enough stuff together to make it worthwhile talking. So they're not strictly speaking monthly updates. They could be shorter, they could be a little bit longer than that. But when I've got enough interesting, or what I consider interesting things to talk about, I'll do another one. If you've got anything you want me to particularly cover in this one, a bit like the thing with the cassette revival, which I probably made a dog's dinner of at the beginning, let me know about that as well. And that's it. Anyway, thanks for all your support from over the last however long you've been a supporter. I know some people have been here for years, and if you're new, thanks for joining up, and I'll keep trying to make videos that entertain and astonish. I don't know why I said that. I think the sugar's going low again. See, I can't even talk. I best go. Thanks for watching. Bye.